Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you well from wherever you watch this channel. Now, when William Ruto decided to say or to expose the parliament as to having been the most corrupt entity, Ruto never knew that the likes of Muchomba, Babu Owino, or rather the Kenya Moja team would respond to him savagely. Now, guess what? Babu Owino has decided to respond to William Ruto's accusation of the parliament being corrupt, and this is what he said.
MPs are very corrupt. With that, I agree with him. They were being given 30,000 to impeach Gachagua. Where was that money from? So where did the corruption start from? The executive.
Now, based on Babu Owino's response, ladies and gentlemen, do you agree that it is William Ruto who motivated the members of parliament to be demanding for bribes from the executive? You know, this has been the talk of the town, not the first time. It didn't even start last year. It didn't even start last year, but one. But in 2023, 2024, we saw something very bizarre. And in fact, the behavior of members of parliament was suggestive. And that's why it was very easy for Kenyans to relate the issue of bribery with the way members of parliament were behaving, because they could pass bills without even caring how Kenyans were feeling. So that informed the decision from Kenyans to think that the parliament is overly corrupt. In fact, the parliament is corrupt, and Ruto has just affirmed that.
It's not possible that committees of parliament demand to be bribed, demand to be paid for them to write reports or to look the other way for what is happening in either the national government or the county governments.
Now, I'd like us to look at this video from Babu Owino responding to William Ruto. There's something that Muchomba also said. But first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, before I do that, kindly help us grow this channel by liking this video. Subscribe to our channel if you have not subscribed before. And to our existing subscribers, thank you so much for your support. Now, when Rigathi was being impeached, again, the issue of bribery came as a topic. Now, Babu has told us that members of parliament were paid. In fact, he has gone to an extent of saying that it was 30,000. They were paid to impeach Rigathi Gachagua. The senators were paid to impeach Rigathi Gachagua. And according to Babu Owino, he says that Rigathi Gachagua was not that guilty, and in fact the mistakes which Rigathi had committed did not warrant for his impeachment, but he was impeached because the parliament was corrupt.
The executive, governors and cabinet ministers has elicited and has stirred political tension. A section of members of parliament has hit back, accusing the head of state of trying to turn the tables on lawmakers, some of whom they allege bribed last year to help oust his deputy Rigathi Gachagua. Speaking publicly, Ruto alleged that parliamentary committees have been soliciting bribes to write favorable reports and to look the other way when questioning national and county officials. Mike Kagwongo begins our bulletin tonight.
A storm is brewing between the executive and the legislature following corruption allegations made by President William Ruto during the second biannual devolution conference in Homa Bay on Wednesday. While addressing delegates and stakeholders, the head of state, in response to sentiments by Senate Speaker Amason Kingi, who had called for governors and their county governments to be held accountable, claimed that parliamentary committees demand bribes to write favorable reports and to look the other way during grilling sessions of national and county government officials.
It is not possible that committees of parliament demand to be bribed, demand to be paid for them to write reports or to look the other way for what is happening in either the national government or the county governments.
His remarks, however, sparked backlash from a section of members of parliament who accused the president of being a prime example of corruption, suggesting the statement was part of a broader political plot to oust former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.
MPs are very corrupt. With that, I agree with him. They were being given 30,000 to impeach Gachagua.
Now, I'd like to bring you back to a scenario where in the Senate, Amason Jefferson Kingi was confronted with a decision to make, because that time Rigathi Gachagua had been rushed to the hospital. Now, by the time this was happening, Orengo was supposed to be the one interrogating Rigathi Gachagua, but again, Rigathi Gachagua fell ill and he was rushed to the hospital. So there was a decision on whether to postpone the session because Rigathi Gachagua was not feeling well. So the decision was whether to postpone or not to postpone. But then what happened is that the speaker had to excuse himself, go behind the scene and make some communication. So the big question was, who was he communicating with? Because Babu Owino has come up with an explosive statement saying that the members of parliament, the senators, were paid to impeach Rigathi Gachagua. I remember Sifuna also addressed this issue, but said that he was not paid to impeach Rigathi Gachagua. But of course, we know that Sifuna voted to have Rigathi Gachagua kicked out. But let's focus on the movement of Amason Jefferson Kingi. Amason Jefferson Kingi excuse and then came back later on. But the decision which Amason Jefferson Kingi came out with was not one that was going to favor Rigathi Gachagua. It was one that was going to allow the process to continue so that they can impeach Rigathi Gachagua for good. And that is exactly what happened. So Kingi allowed the process to go on. And then subsequently there was some voting, and Rigathi Gachagua was kicked out as a deputy president of the Republic of Kenya by the Senate. Now, let's get back to the bribe claim.
It's not possible that committees of parliament demand to be bribed, demand to be paid for them to write reports.
Now, back then again, there was an issue. Let's not even talk about the finance bill, because the finance bill was also believed to have been some corruption was involved there, because members of parliament allied to UDA, majority of them came from Mount Kenya. They voted to support the finance bills 2023 without even looking at the implication of these bills on the people, like the issue of the coffee tax, vitu kama hizo. But there's this issue of Mithika Linturi, and then there was a claim of fertilizer. You remember that case of fertilizer? The case of fertilizer, again, there was complaint that the committee members who were in charge of deciding whether Mithika Linturi should be kicked out or not, those committee members rejected the decision by the parliament, that the parliament said they voted to have him impeached. But that committee did not okay that move, and that's the main reason why Mithika Linturi was not removed from office back then. So again, there was talk that Mithika Linturi had paid these people so that they could make that kind of decision. In fact, there are millions which were pronounced could have been exchanged for to allow Mithika Linturi to stay, to continue working there. So because of all these revelations, ladies and gentlemen, I've shared a couple of examples why I think the parliament is corrupt, and maybe Ruto is right. Ruto is right, and Babu Owino has confirmed it. But again, Babu Owino is saying that you are right, yes, corruption is equal top-notch, but you're the one who made sure that this corruption goes on, because he was the one who used to pay these people to pass bills. So in other words, the fact that parliament is captured, Senate is captured, that is a true. But then how would these houses be captured? There must be an exchange of pesa there for the houses to be captured. Now, just go below in the comment section and tell us what to think about this explosive statement from Babu Owino, saying that Ruto is the one who made sure that these members of parliament were corrupt. So perhaps if you're watching this video and you've not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Until you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.